Lightning. The first spell you get in Fable. Now, is it a good spell? No. No, it's not. It's terrible unless you upgrade it. But what if you decided to never upgrade it and live a life in hell? So that's what we're doing today. Can you beat Fable with only level 1 lightning? There is really only one rule for this challenge. I can only use the lightning spell to attack enemies. Using any other weapon during the tutorial is fine because it's the tutorial and I don't have a choice over it. And I can also use other weapons to break barrels. That's it. Ready? Let's go. Our challenge starts off as usual, trying to get enough gold together to buy our sister a birthday present. The first place I stopped was behind a house where a man was passionately kissing a woman. When confronted, I was asked to keep it a secret, and if I did, he would give me a gold piece since the woman he was kissing was not his wife. Ooh, scandalous. Now, I planned on playing a good character this time around, but I really wanted that gold, so I said yes. The next stop would be to guard a man's precious merchandise while he had to take a poo. This was easy as I just had to stand in one place and wait for the guy to get back. Since I only needed 3 gold pieces, the last thing I was going to do was tell that man's wife that he was cheating on her. With that done, I could return to my father and get the rest of the gold I needed for the good deeds I've done. I use that term loosely. With the gold in my hand, I went to the trader, bought a box of chocolates, and ran down to my sister and gave her her present. Oh no, it's bandits! Oh god, quick, let me hide behind this easily see-through fence. Now that everyone I knew and loved was dead, I had full reign of the town, and the first stop was to my father's corpse, because this game holds nothing back. Oh look, another bandit, here to kill me! Just kidding, but this guy's got the right idea. Hit him with lightning, and from that moment on, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I just didn't realize how much it would fucking suck. The old man's name was Maze, and he took me to the Guild of Heroes where I was to train and, well, become a hero, obviously. Once I woke up from my depressing nap, my first task was to meet the guildmaster by the training area, though I had another idea in mind. It is tradition for me to acquire the blueberry pie at this part of the game and save it until the final boss battle. So I gathered all of the apples the pie lady would need to make the guildmaster's own pie, and got the blueberry pie in return. Now I could actually go train with the guildmaster. Not really much to say about this part, just learning how to do basic physical attacks, which I wouldn't be able to make use of anyway. I also killed some beetles in the woods. Now, as if by magic, I aged up to 18 and became a real guild apprentice. Once again, nothing really to talk about, just learning more physical attacks, attacks with the bow, and some sweet, sweet lightning. This was the most important part of the game, and it only took me about 10 seconds to master. With that done, I could now become a true, full-fledged adult and take my final test. The final test was me beating the absolute crap out of Maze in the woods. It was really easy, as it always is, and I was awarded with a ceremony and my guild seal, making me a true hero. Before I started my first quest, the guildmaster gave me some experience. I used that experience to increase the max amount of magic that I had, which would help me deeply in the long run. I also made sure to stop by the demon door at the Heroes Guild so I could pick up an elixir of life to increase my max health. The first main quest we could partake in would be battling the Wasp Queen. The Queen was located in the picnic area not too far from the guild, and when I arrived, it appeared that many people were being slaughtered by giant wasps. Having survived a massacre myself, I was right at home here. Since level 1 lightning is still a very viable option this early on, killing the wasps was easy. When the first wave lay dead, the Wasp Queen showed up. This was also a fairly easy fight, and it was helped by a little trick I learned how to do not too long ago. The way the lightning spell works in Fable is when you cast it, you're supposed to cast it continually. Now, if you cast it just long enough to do damage to an enemy, and then stop casting it, and then cast it again, you can actually do damage a lot faster than normal, at least if you're using the level 1 version of lightning. That was going to help the whole playthrough. Really, it was the key to the success of it. With the Wasp Queen dead, I was contacted by the guildmaster through my guild seal and told to meet Maze in Bowerstone. When I arrived at Bowerstone, I stopped by the tavern, found Maze, and we had a nice little discussion about my sister that might not be dead. Fancy that. He also told me to replace my equipment while I was here, and I took that to heart, by starting a gambling addiction. After all, I needed to fund my plate mail armor somehow, didn't I? So for the next 20 minutes, I gambled, sometimes losing, but mostly winning, because I'm a winner. With a little more than 20,000 gold in my pocket, I was able to buy a full set of plate mail armor, the strongest armor I'd be able to easily get. I also bought a chainmail helmet to go along with it. Gotta protect that noggin. Now I was back to the guild to take my next quest, protecting Orchard Farm. This quest would be another easy quest, and on the way there I was able to kill a couple of bandits and find a Willmaster's elixir, which would increase my max willpower. I also stopped to do a little fishing at Fisherman's Creek. From there, I made my way to Orchard Farm, and I was tasked with killing the bandits before they could steal the crates that I had to protect. This was very easy, and when all the bandits were dead, it was time to fight my childhood rival, Whisper. This is another tutorial portion of the game, in which they taught me how to do a flourish, which meant, yes, that I had to use my sword for 1 second to do a flourish, but it's a tutorial, so deal with it. If this bothers you, feel free to yell your complaints out to the nearest open window and let the wind carry them off into the sunset. After I performed a flourish, the rest was easy. I finished the quest, got my gold, and did a little bit of exploring around Orchard Farm. I also stopped at Greatwood Lake and opened up a silver key chest and got an elixir of life. Back at the guild, I spent my experience on more magic power and took the next quest. I was to escort some traders to Darkwood. This is when the game takes on a little bit more difficulty, not too much though. To get to Darkwood, I'd have to walk through all the same areas that I just finished, but the enemies here was still easy enough to defeat with my level 1 lightning. I made it to the entrance to Darkwood, but made a detour into Hob Cave so I could grab the Willmaster's elixir in the silver key chest. As soon as I entered Darkwood, the quest started, and I was met with 2 trembling traders. The walk through Darkwood would be a dangerous one, filled with an assortment of creatures. The first one I was tasked with killing was a wandering trader who was bitten by a Balverine. Now, normally you're not supposed to kill him, and you get quite a bit of evil if you do it, but I just didn't want to have to deal with him. The next area we get introduced to the Balverine that I'm assuming bit the trader. Normally Balverines would be all over the place, jumping around, lunging at you to attack, but here's the great thing about lightning. It stun locks most enemies when you attack, as long as you can attack them fast enough with it. Once the Balverine was dead, I got to participate in my favorite part of this mission. Using my lightning to destroy an absolute crap ton of exploding spores. Oh my god, that is so satisfying. Before I went to the next area, I left the traders behind for a moment because I knew they'd end up dying if I took them with me right away. This area was filled with bandits who have toughened up since our last encounter, but as long as I could strafe, they weren't too much of a problem. I went back to grab my trader friends and continued onward. The next area was a little rest stop set up by some other traders, so we took a much needed break, then pushed onward. I took the traders with me into the next area, even though I knew there'd be bandits, but these ones didn't seem keen on attacking the traders. Just me. There was also a couple of hobs at the end, but nothing too difficult. The last area was the most interesting one to do. I was faced with a mini-boss, an Earth Troll. The Earth Troll could chuck dirt balls at you, and for the most part they were pretty easy to dodge, but sometimes I slipped up. Either way, it was a pretty easy fight, and the traders and I made it to Barrow Fields. Now that that quest was over, I could take a little bit of time to explore Barrow Fields, do a little fishing, open a few chests, steal some blue mushrooms, that sort of thing. Then I was to go to Oakvale and meet up with Maze at the tavern. Sounds familiar. I had a little bit of PTSD when I entered the town at first, but it passed right away, and then I got to talk to everyone's favorite wizard, Maze. He informed me that there was a Cirrus in a nearby bandit camp with the king of bandits, Twinblade. He also informed me that Twinblade apparently hosted the raid on my town when I was a child, and that this could be my chance for revenge. Before that, though, I went back to Barrow Fields and opened the demon door there by eating as much food as I could and becoming fat. This netted me another Willmaster's elixir. Then I went back to the guild, leveled up my magic power some more, and I also leveled up my health and toughness too. I felt ready to take on the bandits now, and returned to Oakvale to do so. The first part of this quest involved me sneaking past some bandits, but since I can never do that, I went for the more hands-on approach. And when they were dead, I hid until they sent some new ones out, then I made my way to the next area. There was a cutscene when I entered the new area involving some bandits talking about the need for a full set of bandit gear to actually be able to enter the bandit camp. That meant I needed to find some bandit gear. And while looking for said bandit gear, I set about killing an absolute assload of bandits. Now, these bandits must have been taking protein powder because they were a lot harder to kill before. And bandit doesn't even sound like a word anymore. Now starts the very long, arduous process of making my way through this area that would normally take a few minutes, but will now take me about 30. In the end, I managed to collect all the gear that I needed to enter the camp. The only problem was that there was another, more elite camp that I had to enter, and the only way to get inside was with an elite bandit pass. There were 2 ways I could get this pass. Either buy it from a shady guy for 2,000 gold, or I could play a nice game of Spot the Edition. I went with the latter because I didn't feel like being cheeky today. I also had to feel that gambling addiction, and instead of only betting 1 gold like I normally do, I bet 1,000. I still won, so hooray for me, and I got the pass that I needed too. In the next area of the camp, I had to figure out a way to get into Twinblade's portion, and there were 2 methods of doing this as well. I could either pay some assassins 2,000 gold to cause a ruckus, or I could kill a bandit guarding 2 pretty ladies, which would set them free and also cause a ruckus. I went with the latter because I'm a good person, and then I made my way into Twinblade's area. So, I already knew ahead of time that this boss battle was going to suck eggs. The The problem with Twin Blade is you can only do damage to him when his back is facing you, and the only time his back is facing you is when he plunges his swords into the ground like so. Even then, I only get the opportunity to strike him with lightning twice before he pulls his swords back out, and even then, my lightning only did 8 damage per hit. As you can imagine, I was here for a very, very, very long time. About 40 minutes to be precise. Once I knocked Twin Blade to the ground, a cutscene played, in which we are introduced to my older sister whom I'd previously assumed dead. Not dead, but she did have her eyes cut out. After the revelation that my sister was alive, she started talking some mumbo-jumbo and then bestowed upon me 10,000 general experience points. It was at this point that I could decide whether Twin Blade lived or died. If I chose to kill Twin Blade, I would also be attacked by a circle of bandits, and I didn't really want that. So I looted the place and left back to the Heroes Guild, where I spent my experience on more magic power, health, and toughness. Quests, quests, quests. You want 'em? Maze has got 'em. His quest was for me to track down the archaeologist who had mysteriously vanished in the Witchwood area. This quest was not difficult in any way, shape, or form, but it was a good intro into a new area. And an intro into a new enemy as well, the Rock Troll. Much like the Earth Troll, the Rock Troll threw boulders and had more health, but was still pretty easy to deal with. From there, I talked to the local demon door who said that if I wanted to open him, I'd have to guess his name, and that I totally wouldn't find the guy who knew his name at the Temple of Avo. So off to the Temple of Avo I went, where I found a guy who said he knew the name of the demon door. Imagine that. But he wanted something in return, something red and shiny. Good thing I had just that from killing the Rock Troll, a ruby. With the ruby in his hands, he told me the door's name was Hits, so I went back to the area where the demon door was located and found the 4 magic stones, each with a letter carved underneath them. Now, of course, I could spell Hits right now if I wanted to, but I could also spell something else. Oh, would you look at that? Balverines. I've been a naughty boy, haven't I? After that short fight, I spelled the name right and entered the demon door to find none other than the archaeologist. He informed me that Jack of Blades, the legendary hero, was looking for him because he knew too much, and that's why I was here in the first place. He was pretty mad that I coaxed him out of his hiding spot, but he said that he had a few more left. With that done, I went back to the guild and spent my sweet experience on accuracy. There was only one reason I did this. A demon door knothole glade would only open up if I could shoot him in the face hard enough, and since that wasn't me actually attacking a creature and doing damage, I was okay with it. The next quest was an important one that would put me on the map as a great hero. I had to kill the White Balverine at Knothole Glade. Not an easy task, but I could damn sure try. When I arrived at Knothole Glade, I was greeted with a normal Balverine, and when I was done killing him, I was greeted with more Balverines. They wouldn't open the door until I killed them all, so I did. Once the door was open, the White Balverine attacked, and I had to hit him a few times to make him run away. After that, I went up the hill, and the White Balverine attacked again. Same old, same old. Then a lady came out of her house, claiming that the White Balverine used to be her husband, and gave me a silver augmentation to attach to a weapon. This would apparently allow me to actually harm the White Balverine, but I didn't need it. After that, the White Balverine attacked one more time, and then ran off to the local pond where I had to face him in one-on-one combat. I meant 2-on-1 combat. Oops, how silly of me. I actually meant 4-on-1 combat. Really, the only difficult part here was timing out my movements so the Balverines wouldn't all gang up on me at once. Aside from that, it was a piece of cake, and I killed the White Balverine and his minions, and brought his head back to Knothole Glade's chief, who then nominated me for the arena. This was a hero's greatest honor, so I accepted. He also had some gifts from my sister Teresa that I kind of skimmed through and didn't really care about. Sorry, sis. Back at the guild, I immediately took the arena quest and immediately knew that I was in for a very, very long battle. You see, the arena, as you would probably know, is a round-based quest, with each round getting more difficult, and usually you have to kill a lot of things. Now, what does that spell out for me? I'm gonna be here for a really long time. When it was my turn to go into the arena, we started with the Wasps, the easiest round, and my lightning actually did pretty well here. The second round was the Hobbs, not as easy, but still something that I wouldn't classify as bad. The third round is when they bring in my rival hero, Whisper, to help me battle the next round, Balverines. This is when it started to ramp up in difficulty and amount of time taken. I'll give you a little hint. It took me 11 minutes to finish the whole entire Balverine round. Honestly, if I was playing a normal game, I could probably have the whole arena beat in 11 minutes. Now it was time for the undead. They moved very slow, which made this a lot easier than I thought it would be. On to the bandits. Yeah, I'd definitely say this was the worst round by far. The bandits are quick, they attack in melee range or they attack with a bow, so I had to be constantly moving to avoid damage, which didn't even help for the most part. But in the end, I was able to make it to the next round, which was the Earth Trolls, 2 of them to be exact. This was actually really easy, uncharacteristically so for somebody only using lightning. The same could be said about the next round, which was against the rock trolls. Now, if this was Pokemon logic, technically I wouldn't be able to win. Lightning against rock. But it's not, so here we are. The last real battle of the arena is against a giant scorpion called Arachnox. This was a pretty long fight. The way you'd normally fight Arachnox is to wait until it's charging up its power attack, and then run in and start beating it with your sword. I didn't have that option. All I had was lightning, and the lightning only did 1 damage no matter what I did. So I just dodged attacks and shot lightning for a very long time, until it inevitably died from shock. With that done, the arena was technically over, but Jack of Blades had a different idea. Whisper and I should fight to the death for extra money. Even if you don't want to kill Whisper, you still have to fight her for a bit, which was actually one of the easiest boss fights I've had so far. When it came down to it, I let Whisper live because I'm a good person, and thus I beat the arena. After that, Jack of Blades awarded me with the champion seal, proving that I've won the arena. Also, it allows Jack to spy on me, which my character doesn't know yet, but I do. Back at the guild, I leveled up my health, my magic power, and my accuracy so I could hopefully get through the demon door Knothole Glade. Next, I had to visit my sister Teresa at the Grey House for some information about Jack of Blades. Apparently, he was incredibly evil and was totally the one who cut out my sister's eyes. What a douche. She left a quest for me at the guild to go and rescue the archaeologist from the earlier quest, as he would be able to help us find our mother in Bargate Prison. Before I even started this challenge, I knew this quest would be problematic. The problem being, there's a timed portion, and killing all of the minions in 5 minutes I knew was going to be impossible. But before we could do any of that, let's go hang up my champion seal in my house so Jack of Blades can't listen to me. Betcha that totally has an effect on the cutscene where he tells you about it. Totally. So I tried this quest once without my secret ingredient, which we'll get to later. It's a very simple quest. If it wasn't for the timed part, it wouldn't be a problem. Minions can be killed, it just takes a long time. When it came to the timed part, I really tried to get it done, but minions are a pain in the ass, and I was left with about 30 seconds and 8 more minions to kill, which would be impossible. Which is why I'm bringing out my secret ingredient, slow time. So you might instantly notice slow time is not lightning, and you would be correct, but it's not doing any damage, and honestly, it's the only way that I can get through this quest with lightning. So I'm going to allow it. With slow time on my side, this quest became a whole hell of a lot easier. The great thing is the timer slows down as well as the combat, so by the time I was done killing all the minions, I had 52 seconds left. With that done, the archaeologist was safe, and he gave me the information I needed to gain access to Bargate Prison, where my mother was being held. To get to Bargate Prison, I'd have to go through Litchfield Graveyard, and to actually go through the passageway there, I'd need to get the old gravekeeper Nostro's armor, helmet, sword, and shield, because if I gathered those for him, the path he would yield. It's pretty easy to collect all of the items that I needed, even while being surrounded by the undead, and before I knew it, Nostro had his armor, and I was able to continue on my way. Of course, there was one more obstacle to get through, a small little undead army, but that was really easy. Now, inside of the tunnels below the prison, I just ran as fast as I could to avoid fighting the undead, though there is a portion where I have to fight a bunch of them in a very small, close area. Once that's done, I'm able to run past all the guards because I don't want to kill them, and I find my mother sitting in a cell, old and decrepit. Sorry, Mom. In my defense, I really thought you were dead. I opened the cell, and she followed close behind. We thought we were home free, but how wrong we were. Jack of Blades popped out of the ether and was like,
"Oh yeah, bro, I've totally been listening to everything you said through that champion seal I gave you."
I knew hanging it up in my house wouldn't change a damn thing. He takes my mother and I back to prison, where I start grabbing my crotch like a madman. P.S. I also have to participate in a race, and whoever wins gets to spend a little time with the warden. P.P.S. Ooh, the winner was me. This meant I had a little time to find the cell key while the warden was reciting poetry. You never get the key on your first try, so they sent me to the torture chamber, where I imagine I spent a whole entire year. Oh look, another race. Oh look, another winner. Oh look, a prison cell key. Lucky me. I opened my cell, and everybody else's too. Then I found the room with my stolen equipment, put my armor on, and ran to find my mother as fast as I could. Once I found her, I didn't even hesitate to run away from the guards and leave her to die. Good thing when you enter a new area, she spawns there with you. Now it's time for a boss fight against a Kraken. Nothing too special about this fight, actually. Kill the tentacles, do some damage to the Kraken itself, get hit by the Kraken's magical breath so your mother doesn't have to, rinse and repeat. Finally, outside of the prison, my mother goes off to do some stuff and bestows upon me 40,000 experience, and I return back to the Heroes Guild. I didn't spend too much time there, as there was another quest ready for me. It was for my mother, and she wanted me to turn the Color Skate in Darkwood on so we could go to Hook Coast for some much needed info. This was yet another quest where I needed slow time. The only way to activate the gate was by killing many undead, but the bar actually goes down slowly if you can't kill them fast enough, and they were quite difficult to kill. Eventually, I killed enough of them to open up the gate and stepped through to Hook Coast. Here I was tasked with going to the local abbey to see what I could find, but it was blocked off with a barrier. Apparently my mom could help me with a book she had found, so I went back to the guild. Oh. Well, that sucks. At least she left the book for me so the guildmaster could read it. I also got married. She literally took one look at me and demanded a ring and a house, and how could I say no? Back at the abbey, the guildmaster started chanting some really weird sounding things, but it opened the barrier to reveal Maze has been a traitor this whole time, and he was working with Jack. Dun, dun, dun. With my sister and me at the abbey, Maze could finish the ritual much faster and get Jack of Blades the key so he could get the Sword of Aeons. Lucky for me, my sister is quite magical and freed me from my confinement, where I then had to fight Maze. So I didn't expect this to happen, but as it turns out, Maze is completely immune to lightning. Both level 1 lightning and level 2 because I tested it out. Knowing that lightning just wouldn't work on him, I reloaded the save and came up with a different idea. If I couldn't kill Maze with lightning, I'd kill him with the next best thing, my bare hands. Fighting him like this was an absolute pain, as I would only be able to get in a few hits before he turned his physical shield back on. I guess the only good thing about fighting him with my fists was that I was able to knock him down occasionally and push him into a corner where he couldn't really recover. Lots of bare knuckle brawling, teleporting, and screamers later, Maze lay broken and battered on the ground. He told me to stop Jack and that he also feared death. Not Jack, but Maze, and then proceeded to die. By the way, having to fight Maze with my fists instead of lightning officially makes the challenge fail. Oh well. Back at the guild, things had gone from bad to worse. Jack was now going to all the focus sites in Albion and activating them so he could get the Sword of Aeons. Time for lots of pointless jogging, as no matter how fast you run, Jack will always be there first. Oh, he also has my mother, again, isn't that lovely? Once he activated the last focus site, I returned to the guild to find it burning and broken, along with the guildmaster, who pleaded with me to stop Jack. Great. So I'll just go into this offshoot chamber where he's located and, would you look at that, Mom's dead. Big oof. And he has the sword. This day just keeps getting worse. Now it's time to fight Jack. Well, his minions first, but pretty easy. The fight with Jack, on the other hand, not so much. The first stage involves Jack rushing around the room launching highly damaging projectiles at you. If you somehow manage to dodge these attacks, you only have a small opening to attack yourself, and only doing 5 damage, well, I think you can figure out how long it took. His second phase was a lot easier. He flew up into the middle of the air and became a very wide open target for my lightning. All I had to do was continue to dodge his attacks and his minions, and before I knew it, Jack was dead. With Jack dead, I could either take the Sword of Aeons and kill my sister with it to become some sort of god, or I could totally throw unlimited power into a massive vortex. I went with the latter because I'm a goody-goody. With the main game done, we can now focus on the Lost Chapters portion, which I'm going to try and cover relatively fast. A year has passed since Jack's death. All peaceful, and then bam, out of nowhere the guild gets a message from Scythe, one of its oldest heroes. Bad things are happening in the Northern Wastes. Oh, look who's been nominated to go there. Me, obviously. The first step was to get the Fireheart, which was easy. Go into this demon door, solve a couple of puzzles, free some old guys, Fireheart acquired. Next we had to go to Hook Coast and place the Fireheart in the lighthouse. This would not be an easy task as we were introduced to summoners here. Summoners were the worst of the worst and took a long time to kill. And to top that off, I didn't have to just kill one, I had to kill 3. Slow time really helped with this, otherwise they would have destroyed the Fireheart. With the summoners dead and the Fireheart still intact, we could call upon the ghost ship to get to the Northern Wastes. When I arrived at the Northern Wastes, I picked up a pretty cool helmet and I fought a new kind of troll, an ice troll. Their attacks were really hard to dodge, but I managed. After the fight, I landed in Snowspire Village and talked to Scythe for a little bit. Scythe said that we needed to awaken the oracles, and to do that, we'd need 4 stone tablets that were buried in the necropolis. Before I did that though, I decided to stock up on mana augmentations. I could put these mana augmentations in my weapons, and my mana would regenerate ridiculously fast. Fast enough for me to not have to worry about casting lightning. Inside of the necropolis, I got incredibly lucky. The first time I dug, I found a bad tablet which spawned in some enemies. The next 3 times I dug though, I found 3 of the tablets that I needed. That's never happened to me before. The last tablet, as always, was located in a coffin at the end of the area surrounded by minions and 2 summoners. I'll just let you guess at how long that took me to do. When I got back to Snowspire Village, we spoke to the oracles and they informed us that Jack of Blades was not in fact dead. He was alive. Whoa! That meant I had my work cut out for me. His final form was located in Archon's Folly, and to get inside of the Folly, we'd need to get 3 souls from heroes. The first soul we would need is one of an arena champion. I could either get this by fighting in the arena again, but this time Jack was the one summoning the monsters. This would include a lot of summoners, and I didn't want to have to spend that much time on it. So I went with the alternative, killing Thunder, a former arena champion. Why haven't I talked about Thunder before this point? Because he's not really that important. Anyway, I started combat with him, really hoping that he wouldn't be immune to lightning since that's one of his main attacks. Thankfully he wasn't, and this fight was a lot easier than I thought because he gets stun locked by my lightning. Granted, it only does 1 damage, and it took me a while, but I did end up killing him. Back at Archon's Shrine, I released his soul and was tasked with grabbing the next one, the soul of a great heroine. There were also 2 options for this. I could kill Briar Rose, the heroine helping me translate the shrine, or I could grab my mother's soul. I went with grabbing my mother's soul as I didn't feel like fighting Briar Rose since she could be a pain. To collect my mother's soul, I'd have to kill an exorbitant amount of screamers located in the Oakvale graveyard. Now, I can't remember if the meter for killing the screamers went down if you took too long, but I didn't want to chance it, and I went with using slow time and lightning to kill them in a very untimely fashion. Sorry, Mom. Once again at the shrine, I released her soul and was tasked with getting the last soul, the soul of the oldest hero. Once again, we could choose between 2 moral dilemmas, killing the Guildmaster or killing Nostro the Gravekeeper. I went with killing Nostro even though the Guildmaster can be incredibly annoying. The fight against Nostro is very simple. I kill one of his minions, he's vulnerable for a few moments so I can attack him. Rinse and repeat, and voila, we have the last soul. Now is time for the final boss fight. Jack of Blades had become a dragon. The first portion of this fight was actually really easy. As long as I could time out his attacks, I was pretty set to cast lightning at him whenever. The second portion of this fight was more or less the same, while being constantly bombarded by minions and summoners. I completely ignored the summoners and occasionally attacked the minions because for the most part, Jack would end up killing them with his fire breath anyway. After nearly 40 minutes of fighting, Jack fell to the ground and I captured his soul in his own mask. Then I yeeted that into the lava. Fuck you, Jack. And with that, I did not beat Fable with only level 1 lightning. This was bad. Time-consumingly bad. Don't ever attempt this. I mean, it wouldn't really be worth it anyway since you can't actually beat it with just lightning. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like and a subscribe as that helps me out bunches. Also, check out some of my other challenge videos. I'm sure you'll like those too. I'll leave links to my Discord and my Patreon if you are interested in joining either of those. A huge thank you to my patrons Riley Anderson, Jamie East, and Untamed Pineapple. Y'all are the best. Thanks to 6 weirdly dexterous rats in a trench coat for helping me write this script. The coordination to type must have taken years to learn. And until next time, stay safe out there, and peace out.